Hi, I'd like to introduce you today to three key coaching questions that I use in my sessions. And although these questions are useful for pretty much anyone in your team, I find that they particularly resonate with top performers. So these are people who probably already rocking it in their role. No doubt they're ready for the next move, but potentially the move isn't there for them. And there is a danger at this point that they plateau, they become demotivated and disengaged. So, first of all, I would like you to reflect these three questions back to yourself. And imagine that your leader is asking them to you. So, if you're able to do that on your own, some people are, that's fine. If not, if you need that kind of external influence and support, then I suggest you grab a peer, go and get a cup of coffee and just ask them to ask you these questions and see what comes out from them. So the first question that I find particularly useful in terms of the top performers is, how do you hold yourself to higher standards than I do? So I'm going to assume that your leader's got really high expectations of you and that you have very high expectations of your reports as well. But when you're dealing with your top performers, really they should be having standards and expectations of themselves that are higher than you could or should set for them. So this should really engage their thinking in terms of, these things aren't just something that happened to me. I'm part of this process and I'm accountable and responsible for my own progress, my own development and my own standards. So that would be the first question to really loosen their thinking in terms of how they're going to show up to work. The second question, it's a two-parter really. So you want to engage their thinking that not only do they understand the vision of the culture of excellence they want to work in, but that how are they actually contributing towards that? So the first part of the question, describe the culture of excellence you want. You really want to go into that in more detail. What would they see? What would they hear? What would the benefit be to them? What about the wider team and organisation and ultimately the customer? So you really want them to get you to paint a good detailed picture of what it looks like. And then the follow-up question, how are you contributing towards it, really gets them involved in how they are going to drive that and be role models of excellence to everybody else. So the third question, and probably of the three, the one that can really stump people. So the one where you're going to get a blank face potentially, because maybe they've not been asked something like this before, and a moment of silence as well while they reflect on it. So that question is, what assumptions have you made to keep you where you are? So I often find with top performers who are at that stage where they're ready to move on, but the opportunity's not there, they can sometimes slip into the victim mode. The cards are stacked against them, they're ready, but no one gives them the opportunity, there's favoritism, etc., etc. And to a point, some of that could be true, but you don't want to allow them to stay in that victim mode. You want them to be looking at this from a different angle. So my advice at this part of the conversation is, don't be afraid of silence. So oftentimes when I'm observing coaching sessions, giving people support, the coach feels the need to fill the vacuum of any silence, almost giving the person the answer. Here you want silence. This is their internalization of your question, or they look around in their mind and work out what the answer could be. So don't be afraid of a moment or half a minute or whatever of silence. So hopefully these questions are useful to you as a leader to reflect on them yourself, but also in terms of adding them to your coaching toolkit and in particular taking your top performers to the next level that they need to be at. So thank you very much.